Hi, this is Matt at State of Flux here with another 52-week movie challenge. Everyone's a critic. We are on week 32-ish. Choose a film that is black and white. The film I chose is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Year released 2014. Aspect ratio 2351. Runtime 1 hour and 41 minutes. Genre drama by way of horror. The film is not rated, however would be rated R for some violence, language, and nudity. Starring Sheila Vand, Arash Marandi, Marshall Manesh, Mazan Marno, and Dominic Raines. Directed by Anna Lily Amirpour, written also by the same individual. Music by Bay Rue. Awards received. It won a bunch of independent kind of awards. It was nominated for an Independent Spirit Award for Best Debut Feature. But the first one that pops up on IMDb is it won the Bucharest International Film Festival for the filmmaker. Why did I choose this particular film? It's spooky season, and or almost spooky season, so I decided I'm in full horror mode, let's watch this. I heard this is a really good one. I have a Turner Classic Movies collection of the 31 best horror films to watch for Halloween season. And each movie has a sister movie that you can pair it with as if it were wine or something like that. And for Dracula, they suggested pairing it with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. So I have always had that on the back burner to watch. I've never had a chance to watch it. And this allowed me to do so because I wanted to choose a black and white film that was aesthetically chosen to be black and white. I didn't want to just go and pick something like Dracula or Frankenstein or something that was kind of forced to be black and white because that was the constraints it was under. I wanted to choose something that was artistically chosen to be so. Have I seen this movie before? No. Would I recommend this film? Why or why not? Yes, at the end of the day, yes, I would recommend this film. However, I did struggle with it a little bit. The film is really atmospheric. It is a whole tone poem of a vibe. And for the first hour of the film, I was absolutely driven into this vibe, and I was gelling along with it. But I have kids, and I watched this early in the morning, and when kid woke up, I stopped the movie, thus interrupting the flow, and didn't pick it back up again until after I got out of work that night, and watched the remaining 40 minutes or so. And I'm not sure if it was the interrupted vibe, or the fact that the back half of the film just really kind of fizzles out and doesn't really convey much afterwards. This is about a girl who walks home alone at night who is a vampire, and that's fun, but once she's revealed to be a vampire, a bloodsucker, and she goes to this Halloween party, the whole rest of the movie just kind of continues. I think this would have been a much better short film, and that's kind of where I stand with it. It's a really good, insanely good first half of the movie. And there's no bad parts in the back half of the movie, but it's just ultimately kind of forgettable. I'd still recommend it, especially if you like films. This very much could be like an A24 kind of feature that is just giving you a vibe and seeing if you vibe with it on the same frequency. And I can absolutely understand why certain people like it. I think this has a very good cast. I'm going to talk more about this film. It's a Persian language film. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of the thing, and anything else you'd like to comment, because there is something super interesting about this film that I haven't had a chance to divulge yet, so stay tuned to the end of the feature to hear about that. which character were you most able to identify with or connect with, and in what way? It would either be the Arash character or the vampire. Joss Whedon had a really interesting quote when asked why he centered a TV show around vampires, and he said that vampires were always compelling to him because they're the ultimate ideal of what an outcast is, and what are you in high school other than an outcast? You're always somebody trying to fit in, and vampires are very much the same way. They are in the world, but not of it. And that always sort of spoke to me. I really liked the depiction of this vampire in this film. Somebody who's preyed upon, but becomes the preyer upon. And that was kind of neat. She was a pretty interesting and compelling character, even though there's not much to her. There's also kind of a lot to her. And then the Arash character is the guy that she kind of befriends at the midpoint of the film. He's dealing with a family member who's got some issues in terms of like substance abuse and whatnot. And while I don't have specifically his same story, I can relate to that and just trying to like get away by taking walks down the street and trying to get away from this thing that's kind of eating at you in the back of your mind. Best line or most memorable quote? I don't really have that. It's harder to pick those out when they're like kind of written on screen, even though that should make it easier, but there was no specific quote that kind of jumped out at me. Were you surprised by the ending, and what would you do differently? It's been 2 days since I've watched this movie, and I honestly can't really remember how it ended. I mean, I remember this sort of scene, but I don't really remember the nuances of the ending. I would have delivered a stronger statement with the film. If the film was trying to say something, make it like really kind of bold. And as I say, I can distinctly remember multiple things that happened in the first hour of this film, and the last half is just kind of there. So I would have had a firmer conclusion. Do you feel this film would be better or worse if it were in color, and why do you feel that way? I think the black and white really works for it. Especially when you're working with vampires traditionally being creatures of the night that live in the shadows, and stuff like that. Having a film that is shot distinctly in a situation where you have nothing but shadows. Everything that the light touches is deliberately supposed to be touched by light, and everything that is not remains black. And I like that she, the girl that walks home alone at night, is wearing like this kind of burqa thing, and she is cast all in black, but all you see is her white ghostly face and her gleaming white teeth when she elongates them. I think the look of the film is one of the things that really, really helps sell the qualities of the film. Anything else I would like to add? I mentioned before, this film is a Persian language film, and I'd heard that it was a foreign film, so that was something that interested me. And I'm watching, and the movie has pretty strong cinematography. I really like how this film is shot, and so I wanted to know where they shot it, because like the houses looked very modern, but it also has kind of an old-timey quality, probably brought about by the black and white feel or look. So I Googled it, and I was shocked to see that it was shot entirely in California, and I was like, that's weird. So then I went down the rabbit hole of looking up the actors, one of whom I recognized, so I really wanted to see who, like there's a dad who has a substance abuse issue in the film. I wanted to look him up, and it turns out he's Raj, the taxi driver from How I Met Your Mother, and virtually the whole cast are actors who predominantly work stateside. They're not like actors who work predominantly in other countries or Persian language films. So then I looked up the director, and she's a writer-director out of England. And I was just like, this is super weird. I haven't quite figured out why this film was shot stateside in the Persian language, but it does add to the distinct quality of the film. I did like it quite a bit, and it never took me out of it. It was kind of being immersed in this world that I was unfamiliar with, even though, truthfully, I've probably been to this area of California, and I am familiar with it. So it was kind of neat seeing that. But anyway, moving on to my challenge for next week, a sequel. That's vague. A sequel. I'm going to do a sequel to one of the movies that I already did in this book. I'll go through and find a film that has a sequel, and that'll be coming at you next week. Thanks for watching, and let me know if you've seen this film, what you thought of it. Did you like the ending, or am I just kind of like blah? I talked to one or two other people that I work with who've seen this film, and they also struggled to remember what happened in the back half of the film. All the talking points were in the first half, so if you have a different perspective, please let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Peace.